Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, everybody. This is Shaun Kirkland. I'm the Marketing and Communications Manager at the Rockwall Chamber. I'm also the staff advisor for the Young Professionals of Rockwall.
Hey, everyone. I'm Dr. Devin Smith. I'm in your incoming advisory committee chair here with YPR, and we are going to bring you our first digital show of 2021. And I'm going to hand it over to Gerald to introduce himself.
Hello, thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me on to discuss the topic today, which I personally love and tend to really nerd out on. And thank you, Shaun, for putting this together, and Devin for all that you do for YPR. So I'm pretty fired up to get started. So, and I'll really start with sort of an icebreaker or a few questions. And keep in mind that these 3 questions all have the same answer. So question number 1, just to start it off, is what do you think is the number 1 cause of stress, right? A lot of things cause stress, but what's the number 1 cause of stress? Question number 2 is, what is the number 1 cause of anxiety? A lot of things cause anxiety. And then question number 3, what is the number 1 cause of divorce, right? So I'll let you chew on that for a second, because there's a lot of things that lead to all of those. But the answer is money problems. You know, money is the number 1 cause of stress, anxiety, and most relationships actually end due to money problems. And so with all that being said, one of the biggest problems we face, though, when talking about money is that people often shut down or avoid it altogether. So we really have to normalize talking about money instead of ignoring the topic. So with that being said, today I just want to have fun with today's topic. The topic is New Year financials, and I'll sort of jump all over the place here. So just bear with me today, but there will be a lot of great tips, info, and suggestions to offer today. Everyone should be able to take a few golden nuggets away from this. And so with that being said, kind of another question is, everyone wants to succeed in life, right? I hope you answered yes to that question. If you want to succeed, then you really have to have a plan to succeed. You have to put hard work in most cases, and plan far in advance for that. And most people have some sort of goals or something that they desire, right? And you want to have goals that really cover all your bases, or, for example, the most important categories of your life. So those goals are for your family goals, your personal goals, your health goals, financial goals, social goals, career goals. You know, there's so many different categories there. But today, as a financial advisor and the owner of Rockwall Wealth Advisors, I will probably mostly be speaking about finance and career goals. So before I do that, you know, we have to share a few disclaimers. And given current situation with COVID and everything, please keep in mind that some of us have been hit really hard with COVID and this whole pandemic, and others of us have actually thrived. So I'm going to try to be sensitive to everyone's situation regarding money and finances, and also know that this event is for information purposes only. We want to have fun, give you some advice, some tips that you can chew on and implement in your life. But don't take it as direct advice. Everyone's situation is unique. So with that being said, I'm really excited to jump in. And the agenda, just to kind of give you a sneak peek that I have lined up to talk about. First, we'll speak about some timely ideas and information that could help you if you're still struggling during the pandemic that are financially related, right? Second, I'm going to speak about 2 things that you should consider doing right now, and 2 things that you should not consider doing right now. Maybe we can have fun with that. And then third thing, I'm going to fire through some New Year financial goals, family goals, career goals that every professional should consider. And I'll be going through this pretty fast, so let's get going. And Shaun and Devin, if you have any questions, just stop, interrupt me. Highly encourage that. But we'll start with the timely updates and some important changes that are going on right now stimulus checks, mortgage forbearance, and student loans. So if you're keeping up with the news, this is just reiterated, but the Biden is extending payment deferrals for student loans until October 1st. This will provide a little more relief for those that are suffering right now. And there's even talks of him waiving up to $10,000 per person in student loans or even more. So stay tuned there. But that's a little bit of good news if you are, just looking at every dollar and figuring out how you're going to pay for things. The next, the CARES Act, the mortgage forbearance, is ending for most people that took advantage of it last year. It's ending March 1st. Mortgage forbearance really provided a lifeline for millions of homeowners during the difficult months of the pandemic. So with the 6 to 12 month forbearance ending soon for many families, it's rapidly approaching, right? So homeowners will really have to decide how to move forward with that. So do you need to extend your COVID forbearance plan another 6 months? Can you even extend it? Or are you kind of back on your feet? Are you ready to end it and exit it? So this has been crucial to so many, but there are still a lot of unknowns with the forbearance plan. So if you still need help, see if you can extend it further, but just know that you're going to have to repay it back in some form or fashion by either, there's really 3 ways: building it into your current loan, extending the length of your current mortgage or your loan, and then you could qualify for a refi, but of course there's going to be a lot of other variables that go into that, like credit score and other factors. And then the third thing that I'll talk about is the stimulus check. So we're kind of still in the middle of that second round. A lot of people laughed at the $600 that went out to eligible adults and children. I know some are still actually waiting on that $600. But there's a third round that's likely to be approved, which would kind of add on to the second round. So that would be another $1,400 for everyone who is eligible. So depending on when that bill is passed will really determine when the checks go out. So typically what we've seen from past examples is it's been about a month after the bill was passed when the checks and ACH payments have been delivered. So we'll definitely help out a lot of folks. I mean, $1,400 can pay a mortgage for a month or, keep some other things going. Hopefully we would see that around March or April. But if you haven't received any or a portion of your stimulus check yet, don't panic. You'll be able to file a form and receive it through your tax return because the second round is actually still being sent out as we speak right now. So those are some of the timely topics that I wanted to talk about. The great news is that there's a lot of help out there, but you have to look, you have to ask. There's grants out there. There's a second round of PPP for business owners. So really be proactive and find a way to make it through this. I mean, we've seen the government not really help as much as we'd like with certain areas. So you have to be proactive and or else if you just sit back and sit on your hands, it's going to be a struggle.
Yeah. Hey, Gerald, I had a question about the student loan payments. You said that they were being pretty much put on hold until October, correct?
Correct. October 1st as of now.
Is that going to be penalty free for anyone who takes advantage of that?
No, and I can read into this more and even send out some content, but from what I'm hearing, you don't have to call your loan provider or anything like that. They should not tack on any penalty or interest or anything like that for these deferred payments. You just don't have to pay them knowing that Biden has extended that. So that's for parent student loans and student loans.
Nice. And then you mentioned the forgiveness or the possible forgiveness that they're talking about. Is there any idea on how far back that would go? Is it like forever student loans or is it more recent?
Are you talking about like the $10,000?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So
Okay.
There is that. A lot of that is speculation at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I think during campaign Biden was pushing for forgiving all student loans,
Right.
And not to get too political here, but now, well, maybe maybe we can start with 10,000.
Yeah.
And so, still a lot of unknown there.
Mhm.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So
And
moving along.
Question.
Yeah, go for it.
So for someone who's not super financial savvy, if they wanted to talk to people about these different forbearances and things like that, who do they contact?
I would start with a trusted financial advisor or a financial planner or a CPA. A CPA and a financial advisor, it's our job to stay up to date with almost all of these topics, whether it's something we actually implement in our planning and investment planning or not, but we have to still be knowledgeable about these topics. So a CPA or a financial advisor would be a great place to start.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And thanks for the questions. And moving along, the two things that you should be doing and two things that you should be doing. We'll start with the two things that you should be doing. And again, these are just suggestions and opinions on my part, but making your spending changes permanent. What I mean by that is when the pandemic struck, the economy came really to a virtual standstill. It was pretty wild. I mean, thinking back, it feels like centuries ago, but it was about a year ago. Travel, dining out, entertainment, sports, and other activities pretty much just stopped dead in their tracks. As a result of that, your personal spending likely dropped by hundreds or even thousands of dollars a month. And ironically, I know for me, most individuals seem just as happy, if not even happier, while spending less, right? And so now that your employers and businesses have reopened, don't automatically revert to your former spending levels, right? Maintaining your, we'll call it pandemic spending level, will allow you to kind of get a little bit of a head start on retirement planning. You're going to save more. You're going to reach your financial goals much more quickly. And an example of that is let's just say you reduce your spending by $1,000 a month, right? You're still happy, you reduce your spending a little bit, and you're going to retire much quicker if retirement's kind of in your long-term plans, right? You're still maintaining your standard of living, but that's going to be huge for someone that wants to work less or retire years earlier. The potentially 3 to 5 years earlier, just by reducing your spending. And I'm going to loop back around to this a little bit later, but that'll lead me into the second thing you should do on top of making your spending changes permanent. And it has to do with your stimulus check. So the second round of stimulus is done, or I guess we're still in the middle of it, I guess. And the third round of stimulus is likely to be approved, which we just spoke about. So you should get that hopefully between maybe March and April, the extra $1,400. So what should you do with that check if you don't need it? Please save it, right? What should you do with your stimulus check if you don't need it? Save it. It's pretty simple. And I want to run through a few real life examples here for you. And so just bear with me, get a pen and paper if you need to write this down. But if you save $600 from the first round of stimulus and $1,400 from the second or third round, however you want to categorize that, and which equals $2,000. So that's your base, what you're starting with. If you contribute just $100 a week to that, which we should be saving and paying ourselves anyways, and invest that $2,000 with your $100 contribution a week for 20 years with an 8% annual rate of return, what you're looking at is more than just under $250,000 over a 20-year period. It all started from your stimulus check back in 2020 and 2021, right? Looking back from a future point of view. Now, let's say you take that same scenario, start with $2,000, invest $100 a week for 35 years with an 8% annual rate of return, same scenario, just an extra 15 years. Well, that stimulus check that you saved back in 2020 and 2021 is just under $1 million. It's $956,000, right? So it's just so powerful. I mean, that literally can change your life. And we're not even talking about other retirement accounts and 401k contributions and your employer match, and which I'll even touch on a little bit later. But that all started from just saving money instead of upgrading a new car, going on this vacation. So where I'm getting at here with the second thing that you should do is compound, compound, compound. I cannot say enough how powerful compounding is. And what Einstein called it the eighth wonder of the world for a reason, right? So those are the two things you should do. Moving along to the two things you should not do, is some people will not look at tax optimization at all. So what I mean by that, and one example is some people will not take advantage of Roth IRA conversions if they qualify. So to qualify for you could do a backdoor Roth conversion. This is not to get too technical here, but if you qualify for a Roth conversion or a Roth contribution, at least explore if it makes sense for you. Since a lot of places closed for at least 2 months last year, your 2020 income, there's chances that it'll be lower. I hope it's not lower. I pray that it's even higher and you thrive through the year. But moreover, taking advantage of the COVID-19 tax breaks found means your 2020 tax liability could be substantially reduced. So meanwhile, tax rates are forecast to rise significantly. All this free money that's going out, it's not free. So it's going to raise significantly in the future to cover these massive government deficits. So this makes it an ideal time to decrease your future taxes by using a Roth IRA conversion. And you may have overlooked this opportunity during the downturn. So ask a trusted advisor if it could benefit you now or if that kind of fits into your plan. So that's one thing that you should not do is neglect the tax optimization piece of this. And the second thing is some people will not discuss your finances with your spouse. You know, come on now. If there's one thing that I've learned because of marriage, it's that you have to be transparent with your spouse. If you keep your finances separate, just be open, communicate. Communication has to be key here because the pandemic has likely changed everyone, not just young professionals. It's probably changed everyone's finances substantially. So it's time to change or develop a financial game plan in response to those changes. So if you can't have a constructive conversation with your spouse by yourself, seek help. I mean, there's financial coaches, financial advisors, family, because you have to get financially free and have reach those long-term goals. It has to be a combined effort and your common goals. So your marriage and your finances will be much better off. and unfortunately, when communication stops, the finger pointing begins, the relationship spiral downhill, and the worst investment decision that you'll ever make is divorce. And of course, it all rooted because you aren't communicating with money.
Right.
So,
no, that's so important. I can speak based on my marriage too. It was so hard for me when we got married to combine finances. And I had lived by myself. I was a single woman, fresh out of school, and it was so hard. But now, 3 years in, when we meet with our advisor and Tommy and I are on the same page, it is just this great feeling to know that we are a team and we're working for the same goals.
100%.
It's so much better. It's hard. It's not fun.
Yes, and sometimes, even with me and my wife Melanie, I'm a financial advisor and planner, but sometimes she doesn't want to hear it from me.
No.
And she doesn't hear it the same way someone else might say it. So we've even had a financial planner speak to us as well. And again, your spouse, you just have to communicate or at least attempt to get a third party involved if the communication's not there.
Third party helps so much.
Oh yeah. Yes. Well, I mean, we often just joke about that. And again, the alternative is, again, that relationship spiraling out of control. And money is the number one cause of divorce. So,
Right.
so, and to this point, we've talked about timely information. We've talked about 2 things you should do, 2 things you shouldn't do. And so now we'll talk about some goals to consider around career, family, and money. And we'll kind of start with I'll talk briefly about inflation, raises, salary negotiations, and just positioning yourself around that. So as professionals, whether you're a young professional or not, you need and should assess where you're at in your career with your current firm at least every 2 to 5 years, really depending on your industry. Some industries are way more volatile or, just again, they're all different. So if you don't feel like you're getting paid your market rate, test the market a little bit, whether you're actually looking for a job or not. So think of your career. Are you happy? Do you feel valued? Those are serious questions you have to ask yourself. And you might not be valued for a reason if you want to get real with yourself. But what do you aspire to do in your career? Do you have plans on moving forward or moving up in your company? And if you don't have those type of plans, then I guarantee you that you'll never probably get the promotion you're hoping for. And I say that why? Because no one else is going to make a developmental plan for you, right? So be hungry, get creative, make a plan for yourself, and have mentors that can help you get there, right? So again, with the advancing and getting raises or promotions, if you're serious about moving up in the company, a few tips that I've learned and taken from other people to get your mind right, I have 3 of them. So you have to, again, be open about this because you have to help your boss make your boss's job obsolete so he or she can focus on moving up in the company. And that gives you room to advance in the company, right? So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, let your boss or other people in the company know you're working towards a promotion. They'll likely be your biggest cheerleader and actually help you get there. And tip number 3 is make sure you're valuable. Make money for your company. If you can prove that you're earning the company way more money than you're getting paid, they're likely going to give you more authority. And I call that leverage. You can ask for things. You can ask for raises, promotions, and it's just going to get you so much closer to climbing that career ladder, if you want to call it that. So next, that sort of piggybacks on that with the raises. And this may or may not be relevant to everyone, but typically every fiscal year, there's at least an inflation adjustment to salaries. And that's because inflation's increasing roughly by about 2% a year. I think this last year was around 1.4% or something. But when you get these little incremental raises, just save it. I typically recommend putting all of that into additional savings or into your 401k and act like you never received it, act like you never got a 2 or 3% raise, right? So real life example, if you make $100,000 and you're saving 10%, which we should all be doing, pay yourself first, and you get a 3% raise, well, now put 13% into your 401k or put it into a different savings account. Never act like it's never there. So that's a great tip. That's going to compound. Again, it's a little win now that's going to create huge wins down the road. So that's kind of, I'm going to transition a little bit here, and I was going to go just straight to financial goals. But before I move to financial goals, I do think it's important, especially given the circumstances right now, to touch on social goals. Just very quickly, depression is real. Trying to get into a counselor right now is almost impossible because they're so busy. But social goals are extremely easy and they're a no-brainer. Of course, you have to be comfortable, but join a few organizations, YPR, the chamber, other networking groups, and And I would say that because we're humans, we're created to be in community with one another and not be isolated. So 2020 sucked, right? No doubt about it. Things seem to, I hope, be on the up and up as far as vaccines and stuff. But when you're comfortable, get out there and network. We need human interaction. It's great for our health. You'll see great health benefits. And networking is just great for your career in general. So if you do need assistance in getting plugged in to the community or whatever you're passionate about, reach out to Shaun, Devin, or even myself. We'd love to help you. So again, I was going to just skip that whole social part, but it's important. And then onto the kind of the financial goals or things that we should all think about. It should be top of mind. I want to get real. I'll say real quick. You have to be honest with yourself here. And if you don't have financial goals, then chances are that you don't have any extra money or you don't have any money at all left over. So either you don't make much or you just spend every dollar that's coming in because you're keeping up with the Joneses or whatever, your specific problem is, or a combination of both, right? You don't make much and you spend every dollar. And at the end of the year, you end up saving absolutely nothing, or you're left wondering where it all went. And then the next year comes around and you do the same exact thing, right? We've all heard this before, but that's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. So you have to change some things, right? You have to think about budgeting and savings goals. What's really important to you? Think about whatever it is that you have to think about to get fired up or motivated, regardless if it's your why or your who. Like for me personally, my who is my wife and kids. My why is making them proud. So dig deep, just find out what the heck it is for you to motivate you and light a fire under your butt. And I challenge each of you around your financial goals, is make 2021, the year of discipline, and, decide what the heck you want. First off, that's an exercise in and of itself. Write it down, make a plan, work on it every single day. And seriously, just be very, very intentional. That's my challenge. Make a plan, decide what you want, write it down, work on it every single day, and just be intentional. And I promise you'll make progress. And last but not least, and we're getting towards the end here, so just bear with me, is just your unique family goals. Every family is different. That's what I love about my job, is it's a different puzzle piece, every family or individual that I talk to. So think about, what do you want to accomplish this year, next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whether you call them goals or desires, whatever it is, we all desire better, right? Success. Do you want to have children or have more children? Do you want to have a new home? Do you want to get your kids in a certain school district or save for a certain college, weddings? Some of us are going to have to help support our parents, right? That's a whole nother conversation. So, some of these require a year or more of planning to position yourself for success, such as buying a home or buying a second home. You have to start planning ahead of time for that. So we really have to ensure that all of our goals, everything that I've discussed up to this point, we want to make sure it's working together like a well-oiled machine. We have to ensure that the left hand's talking to the right hand, just like that marriage, right? That we were discussing earlier. So in summary, I know some of you are probably happy to hear that. 2020 for me personally has taught me so much. I personally, my goal is to remember what's important to me. So when the pandemic hit, you personally, you probably had plenty of time on your hands. Not all of us, some of us, worked extra hard. Thank you to all those that are essential workers and got busier. But for most of us, such as myself, things actually got simpler due to the restrictions on my activities. So most people have enriched their lives by spending more time with family and friends or exercising outside, relaxing, improving their quality of life. And as professionals, things hopefully got busier for all of us. Things are starting to reopen. My challenge is don't forget what you've learned during the lockdown, right? Make time for what's important. Display an attitude of gratitude and use some of your money. If you have thrived, use some of your money to give back, and that'll actually maximize your quality of life as well. So, yeah, I know I've talked a lot, but there's a lot of great points there. And before I kind of wrap things up, do you guys have any questions?
Actually, earlier when you were talking about the investing and you mentioned the IRA, so obviously we all know that's a good, safe kind of investment. What about, recently those apps like Robinhood and things have started coming up? Why wouldn't I just take my stimmy and just throw it all in there instead?
Stimmy.
Stimmy. Yeah, Stimmy. So I actually am a fan of Robinhood. You have to be careful because a lot of people are treating Robinhood like the casino. They're getting in and out every single day. And that can create bad habits because what we've seen is the market go up. The market's been on a complete tear. I mean, really since 2008, we had one of the worst months, if not the worst month in market history in March, but it rebounded and caught fire real quick. So a lot of people that are new to investing and are using Robinhood, this will not last forever. And so it can create bad habits. So the market will crash. It's going to crash many times in our lifetime. So again, if you have the right mindset and you're diversified and have a disciplined strategy, 100%, that's a great place to start. You can buy diversified ETFs. You could diversify with stocks there. So Shaun, I think it's a great place to start.
Okay.
And get creative too. I mean, you can have taxable accounts. I believe I've never opened a Robinhood account on my own, but if they offer Roth accounts and IRAs, talk with someone that you trust and just see if it makes sense. Because there's so many ways to grow tax deferred accounts, and that's going to be very powerful as well. So
cool.
So overall, if you want to improve your financial picture, it's not rocket science. It's actually very easy. What I'll challenge you to do is think about what you want to achieve financially over the next year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, like I mentioned earlier. Write those things down on a piece of paper, make huge goals, make small goals. I mean, I talked with someone that you all know very closely, and I love his goals. He said, my name will be on a building in Dallas and a water tower one day. And he's like, I'm dead serious. He was not joking. And I'm like, I love that. And it motivated me. Make huge goals, write them on paper, put them in a place that you'll see every single day, give them to your spouse, give them to someone that's like your accountability partner, someone in YPR. And finally, just keep an open mind on how you're going to achieve those goals. 2020 hit and we pivoted, right? Mm-hmm. It's not the last time we're going to have to pivot. You might have to get extra jobs. You might have to get a side hustle. You might have to reduce your expenses and downgrade houses or cars. It's okay. No one cares what you drive. Just don't be above any job or task out there. Mm-hmm. You have to do what you have to do to get ahead. No one's going to feel sorry for you if you don't. And I think you're a fan of Gary V. Shaun.
Yep.
Shovel crap if you have to. Don't make excuses.
I was someone who shoveled crap for literally like 6 years before I got into school. It sucked, but I learned so much.
I mean, really, be above no job. I mean, look at Dr. Devin shoveled crap,
Mm-hmm. And that is some nasty poop.
And so, I made a post about this a while back. Is you're not in competition versus anyone but yourself. Your competition is not other people. Your competition is your procrastination. It's the knowledge you neglect or the skills that you are not getting by watching Netflix. And I love Netflix, but again, you have to weigh these things, be disciplined, and let's, as a group of professionals, crush 2021 together. A month from now, you can look back and either have progress, or a month from now, you can literally look back and just have more excuses. It's as simple as that. So thank you so much for doing this. I am so proud to be a part of it, Shaun and Devin, and love what you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gerald. This is all very valuable stuff. As someone in my family who does not handle the financials, this was giving me a lot of info that I need to be paying attention to. Real quick before we wrap up, Gerald, if you want to go ahead and take 30 seconds, and you mentioned that you own Rockwall Wealth Advisors and everything, but why don't you tell us what you do real quick?
Yeah, so I'm a financial advisor. I'm the owner of Rockwall Wealth Advisors. I'm really, we are an innovative independent wealth management firm that provides fee-only financial planning advice and investment management services to motivated individuals. So our mission is very simple. It's winning together through creative financial strategies. As a fiduciary, I don't work for anyone. I don't push products. I don't have someone telling me to push products so they can make money off their proprietary funds. So the nice thing about it is I sit on the same side of the table as you, and we're all in this together. Whether it's with me or another trusted advisor, I just want you to win. We're going to win as a group. We are the future. So again, love what I do. I nerd out, I think is how I phrased it in the beginning. When it comes to this stuff. So yeah, thanks for the shameless plug there.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And I'll make sure when this premieres to drop your Facebook page and contact info in the comments so people have that. Devin, do you have anything? Do you want to tell us what you do real quick, and anything else you have going on?
Well, thank you again, Gerald. That was awesome. I think that is a great way to start 2021. And hopefully in a month, maybe someone will approach us with their goals and how they're succeeding or how that's going. Because I do think you're talking about, accountability and networking. We should be that for each other. And so I love that. I love those goals. Well, just a real quick recap. I'm a veterinarian, so I'm the medical director at my hospital. And so that's what I do for a living. I don't scoop poop anymore, but I do work on dogs, turtles, guinea pigs, anything really. So if you ever need anything, let me know. But again, thank you so much, Gerald. We're really excited to have you on the board this year.
Yes, thank y'all. I'm excited.
Awesome. And to end it, I will give a plug here for YPR. If you're interested in YPR, drop a comment in the comments and let us know, and we'll get a hold of you. We do have a coffee chat coming up on February 2nd. That'll be here on Facebook as well, or it'll be on Zoom, sorry, not on Facebook. And then we also have a networking hike coming up on February 6th. So we'll be out at the Nature Preserve here in Rockwall, and Haley Cotty, she'll lead us through some little icebreakers so we get to know each other, and then lead us on the trail there. So we hope to see y'all at one of those two, and look out for the next episode.
Woohoo!